Another headline story. Stage 2 rotational load shedding continues, apparently to protect the power system from a total collapse. The parastatal says the grid has been severely constrained this week and outages could last until 11 o'clock this evening. Last month, Eskom assured customers that there were no plans to implement power cuts this month, but that the risk remained high as the system was vulnerable. This followed a statement issued by the Democratic Alliance regarding possible load shedding. Customers have been advised to check their load shedding schedules on the Eskom or municipal website and to use electricity sparingly.
Unfortunately, we have a system that is constrained at this point in time, our generation system. And it's basically, it was leading up since Saturday. On Saturday morning at about 9 o'clock, we lost the main coal feed from the mine, the conveyor system to Medupi Power Station, losing a third of the capacity of Medupi, being one of our new power plants, that can produce at about 4,000 megawatts. So that was a significant negative impact on the system. Then we also lost, since Saturday afternoon, another 6 units, approximately 600 megawatts, due to boiler tube leaks. Currently, we are having another 3 units that is running at this point in time, but with boiler tube leaks. So the system, as we speak now, is under severe constraint. Then, as from about Sunday morning, very early, we had to start making use of our emergency reserves, which is water as well as diesel. And as of late last night, very early hours of this morning, we assessed the situation and said, this is now coming to a critical level. So in order to protect the integrity of our electrical network system, we unfortunately have then to implement load shedding. So that's where we're standing.
Let's take you back to that developing story now for us. Our reporter Desan Tatia is tracking the effects of load shedding and around Durban. He joins us now live from there. Desan, lots of criticism of Eskom for the lack of time that they gave South Africans, whether in business or just in ordinary life, for this load shedding that has been set in. What are you hearing from people there?
Well, as you know, Marcel, whenever there is load shedding, it's always synonymous with the frustration and the anger that you hear from people on the ground. And that's in all facets, really. Just getting here in Mount Edgecombe, getting to this salon that I'm at the moment, there was obviously traffic. The robots are down. Then you've got the small businesses themselves that are affected. So right now I'm in a mall, and as I mentioned, I am at a salon. It's not a place that you would often find me, Marcel, but you'll see that something quite interesting is happening here. It's because of the fact that they don't have electricity, that they've now moved out into the central part of this mall, and that's where those that work here are going to deal with their customers. So they have to use the sunlight streaming in from the center itself to work, because it's in absolute darkness in the building that I'm in now. But to tell me a little bit more about that, I've got Sinette Nell. She's a stylist here. Sinette, you can join me. So you found out this morning that you weren't going to have electricity at 2 o'clock. Tell me, how has that affected you?
We only found out later this morning that we will be off at 2 o'clock. We tried to move as many clients as we could for the day. We do have a few clients that we had to actually move, and we have 2 clients that we don't have contact details for, that we have to wait for them to come and to tell them the bad news. Also, often when we have clients booked,
sounds like someone's calling in to find out if their appointment is on.
And then also what we have to do is sometimes we try and get our clients done if they're very desperate to have them done like that. And then they often leave with no blow dryer, or they're often going to a function. Sometimes if there's a load shedding without any warning, we often have blow dryers already happening for weddings, functions, matric dances, and it literally cuts off, and we either have to travel out to their homes just to accommodate the clients.
So Sinette, what does that actually do for the businesses? Well, firstly, the reputation of the business, and secondly, your profits.
For our profits, it's quite hectic because you either lose that client, because if it's a new client, that client might not come back because of the impression of the salon, because we don't have generators here, so they might not come back. We could be lucky and they could come back and give it another try. And financially, it's quite straining on us because you lose that client for that docket, and that client, like I say, might not come back again. Or you lose out on a docket, say you have a colour but you have no blow dry, so you're losing a portion of that income.
And just lastly, if in a sentence you could express your feelings towards government and ESCOM right now, what would that be?
I would tell them to get the act together. It's really affecting small businesses. It's affecting our business hours, the amount of clients that come through our door on a regular basis. It's really affecting. And even our staff, our shampooists, all of that, it affects our stock. So it's actually the entire salon that it affects.
Thank you very much. Marcel, that was Sanette Nell, a stylist here, just talking about how frustrating it is to have to basically try to cut down their operation for about 2 hours while they wait for the lights to come on. As you can imagine, it is quite an intricate craft that they have here, and surely they can't do that in darkness. She also touched on another very important point, that the bigger businesses have generators, the bigger malls have those additional power supplies, but the small businesses are the ones that feel it the most because it really hits them in the pocket.
Indeed, the small and medium enterprises seem to be the ones that are bearing the brunt of the damage done by an unexpected session of load shedding like we've experienced today. Thank you so much. Desan Tatia speaking to us live there from Durban. Now, on to our reporter Linda Kuhle-Kulu, who's tracking the effects of that load shedding here in Johannesburg. He filed this report.
We have been seeing a lot of backlogs in traffic lights where there isn't any electricity. We understand that these are some of the areas that had been hit by that stage 2 load shedding. And in fact, this is one of the intersections here in William Nicol where we had seen some of the backlog happening, but it seems right now that traffic has that a bit of a breather space because the traffic lights have actually been turned on right now. We understand that this is, of course, a rotational load shedding, so some places might be affected at this time, while this particular area will be breathing a sigh of relief, particularly the people that are driving around here. They'll be breathing a sigh of relief to say that electricity is back here again. And one of the things we have been able to do also was to just drive around and look at some businesses, speak to some people, and in fact we went to one of the internet cafes that says that unfortunately at this time one of the things that they'll be having to deal with is unhappy customers who had submitted some things to be printed, but they were not able to do that on time because of this particular abrupt, unexpected load shedding. But moving forward, they're saying they might be able to make some contingency plans as to what they need to do in terms of other forms of power into their businesses. But it's business as usual in terms of mobile. In terms of the load shedding. When load shedding strikes, particularly when it catches people unawares, a lot of businesses are affected. A lot of traffic congestion is seen in and around some of these areas. And already in Johannesburg, we know that traffic is something that is a reality for most people when there is electricity. Now, you can imagine if there is no electricity, what some of those points of congestion actually experience, especially when you do not see pointsmen around these areas.
Linda Kuhle-Kulu reporting for us there. And indeed, if you're preparing to hit the roads and take on afternoon traffic, best you take your patients with you or wait until much later before heading home. Now,